Okay, and recording's up.
It's not Dice Dogs.
Oh.
Yay!
It is technically Dice Dogs, but it is our belated Halloween episode.
Oh, wow.
It's our Christmas special.
This is not our Christmas special. This is not our Christmas special.
I mean, it'll probably come out at Christmas, considering how long it is.
Hi, everybody. Today we're going to be running a special horror one-shot, which I designed via the use of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. I am not being sponsored. This is just, I like this book. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this book. So, hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hi.
Yes.
Yes.
As you can see, we got some new faces here. So, Avery, Crow, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Avery. That's Crow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
The best part about that is, like, on my screen, Crow is on your right, so you gestured to nobody.
See, you just on my screen, so.
I'm gonna get dizzy pretty often here. Don't worry.
On my screen, she's above them, so they're just gesturing at nobody. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Sorry.
So,
The Brady Bunch is real confused.
So before we get started, this is a special game, very special game to me, because this is set in my own homebrew setting of Strakkenwünd, very heavily inspired by kind of early century Germany and Bavaria. But with that in mind,
Which century?
Huh?
Which century?
I don't know. Anyway,
Probably around
the early century. And not
musket century.
What? 1700s?
I don't fucking know. Anyway, so
It's not a history podcast.
this is not a history podcast.
Well, we can make it history podcast.
We can't.
So does
cannot.
everybody?
Buckle down.
I'm proficient in history.
Does everybody
I'm
have
too.
Does everybody have something to write with? Does everybody have like a piece of paper or a pencil or?
I have
Use Google
the
Docs.
internet. Yes, I'm
Good.
using Google Docs.
Good.
Are you asking
because,
everybody to take notes this time?
Actually, what's going to happen is I want you all to take your character's wisdom modifier and multiply by 5, and then write that number somewhere.
Oh, we're doing sanity rolls? Oh,
This is your starting sanity. Yes.
Oh.
So if you have a wisdom of 0, then what?
That's 10.
It's 10.
Okay.
10 times 4.
Times by 5.
Which is
I'm gonna pull up a calculator for this.
12. I need a pad of paper. Oh, I'm pausing.
So
I have to-
your wisdom score and modify it by 5?
Your wisdom score and multiply it by 5.
Oh, score. Okay. I thought you said modifier. Okay.
Yeah, I might have accidentally said modifier. That's on me.
No, that's fine.
Okay, let's
So
go.
do we?
My
what
wisdom
the
score
modifier would be, or
is 11.
Yeah,
Nice.
just multiply your wisdom score by 5.
Okay.
And
I
nothing
need a
else.
piece of
We
paper.
don't need
Nothing
the
else.
modifier?
No,
Okay,
yeah, just
cool.
the score, the raw score.
Having trouble with basic math. This is a great start, everybody.
Just open a cat. This
Not
is why you just
proficient
open
in math.
calculators. It's easy. Just use the calculator when you're not in class anymore.
Well,
children.
Avery and I know all about sanity rules.
Hang on, what if my character's already insane?
It's just
Then
immune.
it's negative and you're gaining sanity.
Crow, I've met your character. We're just gonna have to roll with it, my guy.
You've met the concept for my character.
All right. So
I'm
does everybody have that?
so excited.
Does everybody have that written down?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please
Yes.
close your eyes. Cast your consciousness to the depths of the Shadowfell, where the domains of dread are held. Cast your mind back to a new and strange world. One familiar, but one quite indeed alien. Ladies and gentlemen, Dice Dogs. Welcome to this day's one-shot, The Fungi in the Manor.
Is it a pun? Like it's a fun
Yeah.
guy?
So glad to see you're taking this horror campaign very seriously. I'm
Do
kidding.
your worst.
Oh God. Don't say that.
Strange winds, indeed, are said to howl through the forgotten woodlands and moors of Strakkenwünd. For it is a nation where shadows and death set deep, deep roots in the ancient and black soil. Shambling things that should not be walk the land of the living, dripping rotten skin and squirming maggots with each unnatural step. And all the while the gibbering cackles of a hateful mind lost to madness carries on the chilling breeze from the heart of the pine reach, that wretched sea of twisting pines and snow where no living things tread. This land was made by death, to beget death. The stench of cadaverous fumes chokes the thin, cold air of the highlands and the dark, wet fog of the lowlands. But news of death is not uncommon in Strakkenwünd, even in wealthy cities like Havenburg and Vedstadt. No one is truly safe from the harsh truth of mortality. Though armed with modern medicines and surgical practices, there is only so much that can be done to slow the endless march of time as it wears away at stone and flesh alike. Even the most intelligent and influential of men are not safe from the final coming of the Reaper, as all of them will one day find themselves confined to a bed, waiting for the last breath to leave their lungs. The true sorrow of such a passing manifests as grieving friends and family, who must face the cruelty of the world while knowing they will never again seek comfort from those they have lost. One such loss has rocked the scientific community to its very core in recent days. The 3rd of Ostern, 1543, hosted the final hours of one Ludwig Theodor Brandt, professor of natural sciences at Vedstadt's University of Grudenberg. A man gifted in the understanding of the world and the things that live within it, not even he was immune to the fate that befalls all mortals at the end. After a lifetime of scientific and arcane exploration and discovery, the professor spent many a long hour in his study, looking over his notes and his records in total solitude, as was the wont of a mind such as his. Then came that vile Thursday, when the good doctor took his last breath, in time with the last flock of whippoorwills taking flight to their winter homes. Let the bells of the church ring dolorously. Let it be known to all those in Vedstadt. Professor Ludwig Theodor Brandt is dead. Now then, so before I started this game, your characters all received a letter. Crow, in your fabulous Welshman voice, would you please read that letter?
If I can find it quickly, give me a second.
It's okay, Wellerman.
It's like vocal butter. I love it.
Oh, shut up. To whom it may concern, I offer you good tidings whenever it is you may receive this missive. It is with a heavy heart that I must report unto you the recent passing of Professor Ludwig Theodor Brandt of House Brandt, my uncle and a friend to all those of the community of scientific and arcane study. It was last Thursday, the 3rd, when the professor passed, surrounded by friends and family, as his soul left to join the blessed angel's side, and his last breath was taken. Though his death saddens us all, especially in times uncertain as these, we look to the grace of Assyria for comfort and salvation, and the knowledge that he now rests peacefully in the earth, alongside the elements and forces of nature he loved so very much to explore and record. You have been cordially invited to join us for an evening in celebration of the professor's life and works, where there will be victuals and victual? What the fuck is a victual? And refreshments made available as we remember a truly remarkable man. And even if you might have had no previous relations with my uncle in question, we would still be delighted to have you present for the festivities as they unfold. Guests are encouraged to bring a dish of their choosing, but it is far from a requirement for attendance. Merely having you there will be more than enough. and I am certain the Professor would appreciate having so many of his kinsmen there to remember him, quiet and distant though he may have been. The festivities will be held at Brant Manor in Vedstadt, and will begin promptly at 7:30 p.m. Sunday the 13th. We hope to see you there, and blessings of the Silver Angel from my family to yours. From the deaths of the Burgomaster, Aldrich Brant of Vedstadt.
Please record an audiobook. That gave
I
me
am-
goosebumps. Holy shit. Anyway, wow. Anyway, so the manner in which your characters received this letter is entirely up to you. Perhaps it's something they stole from a relative who was invited. Perhaps they found the letter nailed to a post somewhere in town. The fact of the matter is, you have the letter. You have the invitation. And therefore, you are invited to the wake of Professor Ludwig. A wake that is taking place today. It is 7 o'clock in the evening, and Aldrich Brandt is in his study. Or rather, his uncle's study, what was once his uncle's study. A place where the man kept his favorite books from the university, a place where he would pore over open tomes of knowledge and ecological surveys, wondering over the patterns and the cycles that he would find in the data. This study, Ludwig's study, was once a place of intense learning, of the wonder of discovery. It was a place where curiosity was rewarded and admired above all things, where countless books neatly lined the shelves on the eastern and western walls, arranged in an organization system of their owner's design. Now it is quiet. No maps rustle in this room. No candles illuminate the expertly written notes and charts. The globes have stopped spinning. The beakers have stopped bubbling. And no longer can Aldrich hear the scratching of the quill behind the door. All was quiet, and it had been since Thursday. Aldrich Brandt is a half-orcish man, one whose usually flawless posture has been slackened somewhat in the presence of the dark oaken desk before him. He sweeps a green hand across its polished surface and stares at the empty leather-bound chair across from him. His eyes, blue in color, are heavy as they gaze sadly from behind his spectacles at the empty seat, as if he was waiting to see if something would manifest in it. Of course, nothing did, and he sighs. A hand comes up to sweep through his coiffed hair, which has only just begun to silver at the sides, while the other one reaches into his blue, tailored dinner jacket to pull out a copper pocket watch. It flicks open with a click, and he glances at the time. 7:02. The first guests will be appearing any moment now. The ones that liked to be early, at the very least. He sighs again as he flicks it close and pockets it, the chain dangling from inside of his breast pocket. There is no more time to sift through the older, kinder memories right now. Not alone, anyway. Taking a deep breath, Aldrich speaks to himself. Chin up now. You're the burgomaster, and you're the host. Act your part. As Aldrich turns away from the study, leaving behind painful memories, he stopped in his tracks when a figure stands in the doorway. One of his sons, young Benjamin Brandt. He, like his father, is a half-orc, but he also appears to show off more of his mother's tiefling side. In places, the green flesh terminates into something more cosmically purple, and behind a shock of black hair rise curled ram's horns, tinted a deep, deep purple. The boy is also well clothed for the evening at hand, in some of his finer clothes that kind of mirror his father's. But he seems upset, distracted, No. Aldrich has been a father for a long time now, and he can tell when something is wrong with one of his children. He cocks his head curiously and looks at the child and says, Benjamin, is everything okay? Benjamin doesn't answer. Aldrich clears across the floor and then kneels before his son, putting a gentle hand on his shoulder, asking, Benjamin, you can be frank with me, it's fine. To which Benjamin responds, I'm worried about the party tonight, father. Now, why would that be? Benjamin doesn't answer, but Aldrich nods in understanding. It's your brother, isn't it? You're worried about him outshining you again. Benjamin nods, and Brant smiles very warmly and says, Benjamin, my boy, my sweet boy. Listen, you may not be as mathematically inclined as your brother, but you are smart in so many ways. The stories you write, I love to read them. They're fantastic. That is your talent. And trust me, I'm sure there's somebody in the party who's going to be very excited to hear what you've written. You have written something new, haven't you? And Benjamin smiles and nods ecstatically, to which Aldrich replies, That's good to hear. That's my boy. Is anything else the matter? Benjamin squares up again, as if remembering he had something to say, and he says, Yes. The butler said that some of the partygoers have started to arrive? With that, Aldrich's eyes open up wide, and he stands up straight, kind of like adjusts his tie and says, Very well. Let's go show them the best of the Brants. And they descend the stairs together into the main hall of Brant Manor. Brant Manor, which sits upon a hill high in Vedstedt. Brant Manor, which is immaculately built, almost like a Bavarian Transylvanian style. It's a very big building and impossible to miss, one of huge spirous roofs. And the interior is very warm and very welcoming. As Aldrich makes his way down the carpeted steps, he looks to his right and sees a huge feasting table absolutely covered with food. He smiles. Esmeralda has really outdone herself this time. He looks to his left and sees the roaring fire, which warms the interior despite the chill of the outside. Yes, this was going to be a good party, Aldrich decided. He was, after all, the burgomaster of Vedstedt, and he would put on a good show, even amidst the loss that his family has recently felt. This was his manor now, once his uncle's, and it was now time for him to act the way. As he makes his way down the steps, there's a halfling butler standing by the door. He seems to be very, very old, completely bald at the top, but he does sport kind of almost like a Satan's goatee with kind of like that curly mustache and that very pointy goatee. Very well trimmed, very well groomed. The family butler, by the name of Rolf, looks at Aldrich and says, Sir, a few of the more fashionably early folk have arrived. Shall I announce them? And Aldrich replies, Yes. Brants? And as he claps his hands, a tiefling woman dressed in a fine, fine dress and skin the deep purple of the cosmos enters. She has another boy with her, older than Benjamin, also well dressed, and this one clearly taking more after their father. She is a somewhat stockier woman, a bit shorter than Aldrich himself, who himself is about 5'11", 5'10", and she smiles at him as she makes his way over, and they clasp hands together as they stand next to each other, smiling at one another, and then smiling at the boys who look up at their loving family. With that, all four of the living Brants turn to look at the door, and Aldrich nods his head. With that, Rolf takes up a clipboard and opens the door. He puts on a monocle and reads. Presenting Paladin of the Church of the Silver Angel, Crusade Regiment 237, stationed in Vedstadt, Clarion Silverborn. And he opens the door. The storm rages outside as water pellets just beat and bash the cobblestone flagstone streets. But standing in the doorway, would you like to describe your character? You are muted. You are muted.
I know. Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, I had to mute because as you were talking, my cat started screaming in the background.
Well-oiled machine, everybody.
It's just full of anguish. Yes. Okay. So, I have to go first. Damn, you do this.
50!
So,
You can do it.
coming in from the horrible downpour outside, a man dressed head to toe in kind of silvery, coppery toned armor, who, despite this being what many might consider a more social, formal event, has clearly taken no precautions in terms of not only being prepared for any events that might occur, but also representing himself and his kind of background. So this man approaches with his warhammer on his hip, his shield on his back. He wears a helmet that has two curved, dark gray horns sprouting from it. And as he approaches, he looks a little bit out of place, just a little bit like kind of looking around, as if maybe not used to being in this kind of establishment, this sort of very high, fancy house that he has found himself in. But that kind of confusion only lasts a second before he quickly rights himself, kind of taking the proper stance, and he faces the man of the house, Aldrich, and he will bow respectfully, and in a voice that sounds maybe like not his real voice, like maybe he's kind of deepening it a little bit on purpose, he will say, "Oh, thank you. My condolences for your loss, sir."
Aldrich is the first to step forth. They all bow, by the way, as you bow as well. And Aldrich steps forth to kind of like stick out a hand in greeting and says, "No, the pleasure is all ours. It is so nice to have a representative of the church here. Please, come in. Did you have any trouble finding the place?"
He will shake that hand first and foremost, a very enthusiastic, tight grip, and he says, "Oh, no, not at all. I mean, it's a very nice house, sir, and it was very easy to find." And he'll kind of step away from the door, and he'll take a second to take off his helmet, and it takes him longer than it should, because as becomes apparent as he is undoing some clasps and some buckles on his head, the horns are attached to his head, not his helmet, and he has to kind of pull them off a little bit to get them to get his helmet off of the horns that he can't move.
As they're watching you take off your helmet, little Benjamin Brandt is like full frontal watching you and staring at your horns before Esmeralda reaches down and like places a hand on his shoulder.
Like, chill. Yeah, so he'll take that off. He kind of puts it to the side. He is a very, very young man, which becomes apparent once he fully reveals his face. Barely adulthood, if even that, depending on your definition. But as his face kind of reveals, he is simply a half-elf, looking more human, with slightly pointed ears. He has a head of dark hair, green eyes, dark skin, and that kind of slightly out of place, like, oh, this is a really rich person place look is kind of back on his face a little bit as he puts his helmet kind of away and continues to step forward and nods his head resolutely at Aldrich and says, "Well, it's a pleasure to be here, despite the circumstances. But thank you for the invitation."
Yes, thank you for coming. Yours are first, so feel free to help yourself to some refreshments. I can't do a German accent. He's supposed to be German, but I can't do a German accent.
That's why I didn't try.
It is hard, thank you. But at this...
I went all the way around. Farthest away from German you could get. You're good.
Speaking of which, at this point there is another knock at the door. This one far more musical than the last, and you watch as Rolf kind of like peeks out the door and then checks his list and nods, and he brings his hand up to the brass doorknob and says, "Presenting Beatrice Whitethorn of the Southern Isles, former headmaster of Troskane Academy of Arts and Sciences." And with that, he opens the door.
You see a very, very tiny, very old woman walk in. Very human skin, very wrinkled. You would imagine, well, her hair is nicely covered with this like very warm looking shawl. Her dress is a emerald green with detailed embroidery of different flowers. It's like bright pinks and yellow flowers just around the edges of the trim. It's a beautiful dress, all sorts of like little beads and attachments. She has a little knapsack with her, kind of a big pouch. It looks very full, and she'll kind of bustle on in, very like just very, very, very almost twig-like, or some would say spider-like if she wasn't so warm. She's very, very small, very delicate looking, with these bright, piercing gray eyes that may or may not be blind. We don't know, but she does have like some glasses, like little spectacles, but they're dangling on a little loop around her neck. She's walking in, very at ease, very at home with the place. Walks in, and well, there's no need for such formal introductions. We're family, really. I've heard all sorts of things from your letters. Oh, and she'll reach out and she'll do like very, very gentle, very, very warm handshakes. Oh, it's a pleasure to see you again. I haven't seen you since you were this large. And she's talking to
Aldrich does that thing where he takes your hand and like clasps another hand over it and says, "Mrs. Whitethorn, it is so good to see you. You don't look a day older."
Oh, you're too kind. Now, you still studying your arcane little cantrips and spells, aren't you? You didn't slack off afterwards, right?
Unfortunately, the political world has my attention more now. However, my wife Esmeralda has been taking some magical study.
Oh, that's lovely. It's a pleasure to meet you in person for the first time. I've heard so many things from you about all these letters are so nice. You let me know if you need anything.
Esmeralda nods and signs a thank you.
And she'll give like a little, and she will do this all day, and unless she gets ushered away.
And Benjamin points at you and says, "You're the one who was kissing Uncle Ludwig." And Aldrich suddenly goes, "Beach, I am so sorry. I am so sorry."
Oh, dear me. Oh, a terrible secret of our youth. I apologize.
He's gone from green to red, and Aldrich is like, "Miss Whitethorn, I am so sorry."
Oh, it's not a trouble at all. I know he didn't mean nothing by it.
Thankfully, the door knocks once again, and Aldrich is like, "Oh, thank you, Christ." But,
I'll let you get back to your party.
Oh, yes.
Our party.
Yes, feel free to have some refreshments. And Esmeralda, would you please get her a seat? And Esmeralda like nods and goes up to get you a little chair.
You are too kind.
With that, the door knocks. Rolf checks the window and then checks his list, opens the door and says, "Presenting forward scout of the Troskane Watch, single named Zindris." And Ethan, would you like to describe your character as you step in from the howling rain?
So immediately he gets his green hood down, and if it wasn't for the leather chest plate, you'd probably think he was just a peasant, from how sparse it is. And if it weren't for the blue skin, the bright blue skin, you'd probably think he was just another elf. But he is a Genasi, with a military top. And he shakes the hand of the burgomaster before saying, I've come in the place of Aurora.
I see. Well, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming. How are things in the watch right now?
They're fine. They're just as fine as they can be. It's
I see. Well,
yes.
do let me take your coat. And he kind of like helps you peel off the rain slick robe and hang it up. And he gestures toward the fire. And he's like, if you wish to take a seat and warm up a bit before the rest of the guests arrive, please take your time.
Right. Thank you. And he, goes over to the fire and tries to warm himself up a little bit.
Okay. Another knock at the door. Once more, Rolf opens the door to the booming rain outside. Now there have been a couple thunder flashes, but he speaks up over the rain and says, "Presenting Tobias Valeth, sole son of Lady Eli. I didn't take the time to learn how to say this before the game. I'm sorry.
Ellerilla.
Ellerilla Valeth and Sir Mark Valeth, noble house of Valeth."
Sorry, Cora was getting into some shit.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just keep fucking around. That's fine.
But Tobias.
That wasn't Christian of you.
Sorry, Grandma. So Tobias stands a good 5'10". It's modest for an almost adult. He is a half-elf, tan skin, freckles, short cropped brown hair, big sparkly brown eyes. He's wearing what looks to be a fancy leather armor, dark in color, and he's got a pauldron on one side that has a dark maroon cape draped off of it, shoulder cape, that's connected to by a golden chain, a little emblem for his family. It kind of looks like a decorated shovel head. In the rain, he's got his shoulder cape kind of drawn over something in his arm. And he steps in kind of like he owns the place. He's very used to these hoity-toity parties. And goes, hey, I brought a pie.
Once again, Aldrich steps forward and puts out a hand to shake, and he says, "Mr. Valeth, very good to see you. How are your studies going? How is everything in the Archaeological Society?"
Oh, it's great. We went on, a couple digs, find some cool stuff. Yeah, my mom couldn't be here and my dad didn't want to come, so here.
He blinks as if kind of taken aback, but is just like, I see. Well, in any case, my home is your home, so please feel free to make yourself at home. I said home 3 times. I don't know why I did that. Welcome.
He's having a bad
And then
day.
I make direct eye contact with Clarion.
Clarion literally, like, when he heard the name, he was probably by the refreshment table. He brought a bottle of wine, because that's really all he had. He just kind of quietly, with no ceremony, took it out of his pack and put it on the table. And then he heard that name, and he was like, just like looking around the corner.
I hand my pie to the butler without looking at him, just kind of expecting he'll take it. And darn.
The Rolf reaches out and takes the pie, which, comparatively to a halfling, is almost like one of those firehouse pecan plates. So he's just kind of like waddles it over to the to the table.
Poor man. Clarion is very happy. He very quickly, like, almost kind of knocks over the bottle that he was messing with. He's like, oh, God. Toby! Oh, my God. I'm so happy to see you here. And he's going to come over and he's going to do the handshake that turns into a chest bump, you know?
Yeah!
Yeah!
Yeah! Oh, wait. This is probably a really serious event, isn't it?
We should be quiet, but I'm so excited to see you here.
I know, I didn't know you were going to be here.
Oh, yeah. He kind of like, he like scratches his neck awkwardly and he's like, yeah, well, they wanted someone to come from the group and, they said that it would be nice for me to go out and see a new city, so.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. He looks very awkward here, but, and especially now that everyone has come in and he is realizing that he is dressed head to toe in, like, metal armor, and he just feels very out of place.
Oh yeah, Toby goes, ding, 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 nice armor.
Nice armor, nerd.
So already we have a somewhat strange collection of folk who have arrived a bit early for the wake. Very, very nice. Very nice.
Good.
But once more, there's another knock at the door. This one even somehow more musical than Beatrice's own entrance. And Rolf, just as he comes back from the pie, you all watch as Rolf looks out the window, and his eyes kind of like, he takes off his monocle, kind of like rubs it, and then rubs the monocle against his suit, and then looks outside again. And then looks at his list, looks outside, looks at his list, looks outside, and then steps back, very unsure, puts his hand on the knob and says, presenting the mysterious and marvelous Bimbax the Strange and his loyal companion, Scribbles the Ant. And
it's a party.
And he pulls the door open, and Crow, would you like to describe your character?
Please describe what the fuck is going on.
An incredibly old man in ragged robes, seemingly green and brown in colour from how long they've been worn, walks in with a huge walking stick made of an old tree branch. He's hunched over and he looks about 6,000 years old. He seems to be really frail and quiet and pretty much senile. But the moment he sees the butler, his eyes widen, his gaze lightens, he just brightens up. And he just opens with, Rolfie, my boy, it's been 600 years at least. When's the last time we had a drink together, my boy?
Expecting the Crypt Keeper voice.
America. Thank you.
I think I just killed everyone with that.
I'm living for it.
We got
Beatrice's coin purse is about to... the olds and the youngs.
I need... I need you guys to understand. Crow told me about his character before the campaign. He never told me what he's gonna sound like.
God. Thank you, Crow.
Was this a horror campaign? Or...
I was not ready. I was so not ready.
I mean, at this rate, it's a comedy.
The new hair.
Good
Oh, Crow, I'm so glad I added you to the ranks of Dice Dogs. In any case, Rolf, as you said you're like shaking his hand, right?
Yeah.
Rolf is kind of like as you shake, and he kind of looks over at Aldrich and says, "Help me!" And Aldrich is quick to rush over and be like, "Mr. Bimbax, it's very good to see you, sir. How was the book?"
Bimbax stops shaking the poor little halfling's hand, leaving his very decrepit, chalky, clammy, old, shriveled up hand away from the poor little butler's hand. And he turns to Aldrich and goes, Aldrich, my little friend. It's a shame to hear about your grandfather. Was it uncle? I can't quite remember. There's so many things to remember when you're this bloody old. Oh, the journey was marvellous. Too much rain for my liking, but that's what the robes are for, isn't it, my friend?
They are indeed. It was my uncle. He had quite a bit to say about you, actually.
Oh, yes, I'm sure he did. We had so many adventures all those, how long ago was it? I think about 150 or so years. I can't quite remember. I'm very old, you see.
Aldrich kind of pauses as if he's doing the math in his head. And then he's just like, I would love to hear some more of those stories once the party gets rolling here in a little bit. But in the meantime, please make yourself at home.
Oh, splendid. I will do just that. Thank you very much, my little friend.
Can we get you a glass of something?
Oh, I'll be fine. I brought some Minotaur brandy with me. We'll be splendid.
Okay. All right. So, now that everybody has kind of like arrived at the party, it is now about 7:30, and more people from town have started to kind of pour into the mansion, and now it's starting to really, really look like a party. And you'll notice that the people who make up this the crowd in the party itself, it's kind of a mixed bag of higher and lower class. It seems like almost everybody from town was invited, which becomes clear after you notice that Aldrich personally greets everybody who comes in, and he seems to be a very well respected and very well liked burgomaster, very well respected member of society and leader of the town. And of course, everybody who makes their way through the door, they offer their condolences and with sad nods, the occasional hug, of course. Yes, Avery, what's up?
Does he greet them by name? Like, does he know all of them?
Yes, he does.
Cool.
And no, I'm not going to name off all the villagers of Vidstaff.
Nope, just for me.
Make up some names.
Yeah, just make up 100 names in a minute. Come on.
No. No.
FantasyNameGenerator.com. Let's go.
Exactly.
Anyway. So at around 7:35, as people have started to mingle and as people have started to like collect drinks into their hands, coats have been hung up and things. Everything is kind of like taking place in the main hall amidst the roaring fire, with the backdrop being the steps up into the higher levels of the manor. But eventually, Aldrich takes to those steps with a glass in hand, and you watch as he kind of clinks a fork to the rim, and he says, "My good friends, my good people of Vedstad, it is so wonderful to be having all of my people here under my roof. The times that we live in are quite strange, and I'm sure loss is something that we can all be connected by in some way or another. But tonight, it is not about us. It is not about the Brandt family. It's not about me, and it's not even about Vedstad. Tonight is about a truly remarkable man. A friend to all, a scholar, a teacher. My uncle, Professor Ludwig Theodor Brandt. I'm sure he has touched your lives in one way or another. All the good he did in this world, it was for the betterment of our society. Everything he invented, everything he discovered, he poured himself and his work into all of it, for all of us. So tonight, I would like to remember such a fantastic man. And to do so, I have had a special portrait commissioned by none other than Lady Emilda, and he kind of gestures over to a pink tiefling woman in the in sitting next to the fireplace, and everybody kind of like politely claps as she raises her glass at Aldrich. But and as the clapping dies down, Aldrich continues and he says, "Now, without further ado, as he kind of descends the steps, he makes his way over to what appears to be a kind of wooden tripod that's been covered in kind of like a cheesecloth. And as he slowly takes that away, a beautiful portrait of a very old, very wiry half-orcish man with spectacles at the very end of his nose is presented. It's entirely colorless, kind of almost like a pencil sketch, but bigger and more grand. And as soon as the painting is revealed, there's kind of a ripple of like, "Ooh," through the audience as everybody kind of like politely claps again. And once again, the clapping dies down and Aldrich speaks up and says, "Knowing my uncle, he would be remorseful if we did not spend tonight in celebration of his life. So, please, I invite you to partake of our food, of our finest of wines, and once again, from the bottom of the Brandt family heart, and as thanks from my from my uncle, thank you all for being here." And with that, and with another round of applause, the party commences.
Claire, give me some of that wine.
So as I've said, the party itself has begun, and people have begun to kind of like disperse around the manor to kind of like talk to one another or try to meet with old friends. And again, mixed bag of people here. There are kind of like there do seem to be like farmers chatting it up with kind of like noble citizenry and all that. It seems like the loss of a dear friend has ways of bringing people from all walks of life together. And as the party stretches on, there are people who who go through the manor kind of like pointing at pieces of art and kind of like admiring the art that's there. There's a lot of finery in this house, but not in an ostentatious manner. People are sitting in the people are kind of sitting in the library, kind of smoking and speaking to one another. The library has kind of been chosen as the designated smoking area if anybody has brought cigars or anything like that. But at this time, what are you guys doing? What's everybody doing?
Trying to get wine out of Claire. Amy.
I mean,
Claire's just like Claire is like standing over it. It's like,
give me that.
It's too early. Too early.
Okay.
You brought it. Come on.
He's just gonna like hold like his armored hand up, just like over it, swatting Toby's hand away.
I want to try to take it. Let me roll sleight of hand.
Do it.
You know what? Okay, what's your passive perception there, Corian?
Me?
Yeah.
God, my passive perception is 12, so it's not great.
Roll sleight of hand check then.
Come on, do it. Steal wine from the church boy.
18.
The best wine on the planet.
Yeah,
God!
you have the wine.
You have obtained the wine.
Pop the cork out.
Clarion is looking at something across the room.
Can I ask Beatrice to roll perception and spot this?
Are you watching them?
Yeah.
Sure.
Spot the teenage wine.
I'm pulling the cork out with my teeth.
Oh gosh. That is a 21.
That's what you see it. You see
you hella see it.
You see Vin's character like as these two are kind of like playfully fighting, just like expertly, just like boom.
Just the fastest.
Yeah, Beatrice will waddle over and she'll put her. It's kind of clammy. Her hands are clammy. She's very cold and old. She'll put her hand on Tobias' shoulder. Like, oh, pardon me, young man. Is that a sweet wine or a bitter wine? I'm looking for something a bit sweeter.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. You want some? I kind of drank out of it.
Oh, that's no trouble.
Yeah, I'll get you a glass, Grandma.
Clarion just looks like this.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, darling. That'd be lovely.
I'll go and find a glass on the table and fill it up generously with this wine. Hand it to Grandma.
What is your name, young man? What is it?
I'm Tobias. This is Claire. Tobias.
Oh, Toby. Oh, it's lovely to meet you.
This is Claire.
You can call me Grandma. Claire? Eclair? Like
Claire.
Claire? All right, Claire.
Yeah.
Well, you just call me Grandma, sweetheart. If you need anything, you just let me know. Oh, well, thank you. You sweet boys don't get into too much trouble. This is a nice evening full of lots of sad people, so we'll do our best to be kind to their feelings.
Of course, ma'am. Thank you.
Picking up what you're putting down, Grandma.
All right, you have fun. She waddles off.
Claire turns to Toby as soon as she leaves and swats him and is like, "Don't talk to her like that. She's an elder.
She's a grandma.
You have to be respectful.
I was.
And drink out of a glass."
No.
Sheesh. He's gonna grab a glass and push it at him aggressively.
It's at this point, Corian, behind you, you hear very loud, very thundering footsteps, and as you turn to look, behind you stands another fellow member of Regiment 227. 227? Or was it 237? 237.
I don't know.
Of Crusade Regiment 237. A truly huge half-elven man, with his completely shaven of the head, as many of your order are, wearing silvered armor with a black tabard and a single angel's wing emblazing the chest. Under his arm, he carries his helmet, and he doesn't seem to have anything else. And though his jaw is incredibly squared, though he looks very stoic, he leans into you and says, "Clarion, I don't know what to do at parties. I'm not good at parties. What the fuck do I do?"
"Oh, sir." Very.
Sorry, I forgot his name. You recognize him as Cedric. He's the same rank as you.
Cedric. Oh, he's still gonna call him sir. I assume he's probably older, because I don't know how many 17-year-olds they have in there.
Thereabouts, yeah.
He very hurriedly puts the glass down that he was pushing at Toby, because he as if he doesn't want to be seen holding a wine glass. He just puts it down really quickly. He's like, "Oh, sir, well, I suppose that we can just make people feel at ease, right?"
I don't know how to talk to any of these people.
It's not that. Just go introduce yourself. Here, you can introduce yourself to him. And he grabs Toby and turns him around. Here, hi.
Toby, before you stands a huge half-elven man with permanent resting bitch face, kind of glaring down at you without really meaning it.
And Clarion's just oh. Hi. Uh-huh.
Hi.
What's your name?
What?
This is super awkward. How's the wine, dude?
He immediately takes it, like, looks at you for a cue, and, like, if you nod at him, he'll just, in one gulp.
Yeah! I like this guy!
And he sets the glass down on the table, says, thank you. Weather has been poor of late.
You're right. It
Yeah.
sure has, dude.
Clarion just like claps him on the arm, like, good job, dude.
You're doing great. Now try to smile a little when you talk. Never mind. Stop. Be cool.
Maybe try have friendlier eyebrows. Okay, no,
That's not working.
no. Okay, you're fine. Just the way that you are is fine. Good job.
He kind of keeps, during the whole conversation, he kind of keeps looking off towards the fireplace. And can you guys make me a perception check really quick?
Christ. Yeah, everyone or just us two?
Just you two.
Okay. My perception is not good. So, Toby, please. That is a walloping 13.
Okay. What did you get, Clarion?
Me? 13.
Yeah. 13?
13.
13. Okay, you both see that he's
Hey,
very
I got
clear.
a natural 20!
Wait. Oh.
You both see that he's very clearly looking over at the pink tiefling in the cocktail dress near the fireplace.
Oh.
What?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
There's a knowing exchange of glances between
What?
the boys.
You like her.
I have taken a vow of celibacy. I don't. Clarion, help me out here.
Hey, no one's gonna say a word.
He's just gonna. Clarion quietly pours a glass half full, modestly half full of wine, and offers it and says, "Why don't you go bring this to her?"
What do I say?
Just tell her you think she's pretty.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Just
or
like
that
that.
you like her hair. Here,
But
go.
be cool about it. Be cool. Just be cool.
And smile, but not too much.
No,
Just a little bit.
just. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Go.
Okay. And you guys watch as he kind of like lumbers towards the fireplace and very rigidly holds out the cup. And you can't quite hear what it is, what's being said, but his mouth is moving. Very red in the face. And the tiefling woman, she kind of like blinks at him for a moment and like kind of brings a hand up to her chin and kind of like strokes it a bit and happily takes the glass. And at this point, she starts talking to him as well. But yeah, well done. So, at this time, what is Bimbax doing?
Bimbax is sat near the fire in an old sort of rocking chair. He's got a glass of his Minotaur brandy out, and he's just telling stories to anyone who's bothered enough to sit next to him and listen to his old voice just rambling on and on about weird creatures and adventures he's had.
I love it.
A lot of people have taken kind of a wide berth of you because you're a very old, strange man who smells like mushrooms, but you've caught the attention of like many of them as well, especially Aldrich's two younger boys who are just hanging on to every word.
Hey Claire, that guy's weird. Let's go talk to him.
Oh, okay. Don't say that. That's mean.
He's unique. Let's go.
I love these frat boys so much.
Yeah, let's go talk to the weird grandpa and harass him while he's trying to...
I want to go hear this story. I must.
Oh no, do I have to improvise a story now?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Welcome to D&D.
Yes.
Welcome to the dice fields, bitch.
Let me stretch the muscles out. Ah, fuck me, I just hit my dad.
You thought this was a game? It's a juggernaut.
And so there were several hundred of them around me. Gnomes all around, just several times smaller than me. I mean, it's unbelievable how small gnomes can be. Have you ever met one? They're unbelievably tiny. I swear I could fit one in this glass. It's an absolutely wonderful thing to experience. Who are these two young new men here? I swear I've seen your faces before. Where have we met?
Before we continue, I just want to say Crow has, like, the old man voice that I wish I had.
Crypt Keeper fantasy, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Bloodborne looking ass, motherfucker.
Continue.
Hey, old guy, I'm Tobias.
Tobias, I'm not sure I've ever heard that name before, but it sounds somewhat familiar.
Did you call him an old man?
Yeah.
You will get a swat at that. A very quick swat from Clarion. And then Clarion will much more respectfully bow his head and say, Clarion Silverborn, sir. Please continue with your story.
Full of formalities, young man. I may be old, but I'm not an upstart like these fancy folk in here. I'm a man of the woods. I live by the woods. I live by how nature intends. And I love it. There's no
He's a weird old man.
Well, I'm a little bit old. I can't remember exactly how old. It's been a few hundred years at least. I mean, last I counted, I think it was around, what was it, 930, 935, was it 936? Something around that, yes.
No way.
Clarion looks very alarmed. He's just like...
You learned a few things living in the woods all your life.
Well, what happened with the gnomes?
Oh, yes, the gnomes, of course. Thank you for reminding me, my dear friend. Yes, surrounding me, hundreds of little gnomes. Hang on a minute, they might have been goblins. No, they were certainly gnomes. I can remember it now. They had those little pointy hats and everything. Hold on a minute, I was in the garden.
I just killed Connor.
You gotta give me a minute.
We didn't need to. We'll just keep doing bits.
It's not a dice dog session if Connor doesn't have to leave and lean against the wall for a couple minutes.
Can we just...
That's his...
Can we just quit Dice Dogs and do entire episodes of Crow doing characters?
Oh, God.
Yeah, totally. Yes, and...
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Well, while this conversation is happening,
Monologue.
Tobias, where are you right now?
Uh-oh. He's with...
I'm talking with old man. Did you mean...
Oh, not Tobias. Sorry, I meant...
Cinder?
I meant Zindris. Sorry.
Yeah, he's put himself near where the cakes are, and he's just been scarfing down a few. You know, being on the sort of rations isn't fun, so being able to scarf down as much as possible. Like, obviously, if he sees any of the more richer people looking over him, he'll just, like, wipe everything away and sit there for a few minutes before going at it again. But otherwise, he is just scarfing down cakes in quick succession.
We love that for him. But as you are sitting, very good cakes as well. Most of them are like some kind of like citrus cake. That seems to be Esmeralda's like kind of dessert specialty. But as you're eating, I would like you to make me a perception check.
Oh god, there's mold in the food.
Oh god.
Where's my percent?
He opens up the cake and there's like a smaller Bimbax inside.
Now those are homes.
Scribbles got out and got in there.
God, oh no. I'm waiting for the reveal of Scribbles.
That's 15.
15. Okay. So as you're eating, you kind of naturally fall back into kind of like the as a member of the watch, you've kind of honed your skills of like kind of making sure where exits are, kind of like keeping an analysis of everybody. You've gotten very good at that. And you do notice a bunch of conversations happening at once. Nothing suspicious, but you do see two men talking to each other, and something about their conversation seems a bit off. One of them is a red tiefling in a fine black coat. The other's a dragonborn in similar dress, only he's wearing green. And the dragonborn, while sipping on brandy, says, "So you you were one of the professor's last interviewees, yes?" And the tiefling nods and says, "Oh yes, yes. Uh, strange bit of strange bit of work it was. 25 gil for 25 notes. He paid me just to sit down and ask me questions about my personality. It was so strange." And the dragonborn nods and says, I see, I see. You heard about the other ones, yes?" "Other ones?" Yes, yes. It's in all the papers. I'm surprised you haven't heard about this. Apparently, 3 of the interviewees that he interviewed during this last project of his, they disappeared about 4 weeks later." "Is that right?" Yes, yes. The watch is assuming that they went too far into the Krellwood. They were wanderers, most of them, so it makes a bit of sense. The Krellwood. Don't want to be too far in those woods at night. Oh, no, I suppose not. And that's what you hear.
Right. Well.
Suspicious.
Yeah, it's suspicious.
Also, I just want to point out that doing 2 NPCs talking to each other makes me feel like a crazy person.
We appreciate the dedication. Thank you.
It's okay, you know.
Just imagine what your roommates think.
Right. So he sort of just he sort of he wolfs down one last piece before getting up and just slowly walking towards them. But he's trying to make it so that he's not going directly at them. He's just weaving through a couple of the other, so he can sort of listen in more what they're saying.
Okay. The conversation continues on, and give me one more like perception check to see like how much you actually glean from it. And roll with advantage because you're getting closer this time.
Ooh, okay.
Somebody wants him to pass.
Was that a bad roll?
I'm thinking a 3 and a 7.
A 3 and a 4.
3 and a
Is it 2 ones?
2. Accidentally rolled too many.
Yeah, so I'm glad to get advantage because my first roll there was a 2. But okay, so this roll is 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you glean from the conversation is that in the last few months of the professor's life, he'd been focusing his study not on just like these interviews that he's been holding with people, but also the study of fungus, of the different kind of fungi that grow in Strakkenwünd. You also find that a lot of the interviewees mentioned by the Dragonborn are present and in attendance at the party, and it seems to only have been those 3 who have gone missing. But people go missing in Strakkenwünd all the time. It's a land of the dead, controlled almost entirely by the dead, after all. My point is, for a member of the Watch, it's nothing really out of the ordinary to hear about people.
Yeah. Yeah, people die all the time. It's fine.
Fine.
I mean, I buried my mother a few weeks ago. It's fine. It's fine.
What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, so he's sort of once he's heard about the few other interviewees, he's going to scope them out as much as he can without drawing attention.
Okay. You know what? Give me a stealth check.
Okay. I don't remember what my stealth is.
You're a ranger. That'll be okay.
God, it's horrible. Anyway.
Never mind.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not gonna be a very hard check. You're just gonna be wandering around a party.
Well, I bet you I failed that check because it's 2. It's 2.
That guy looks like a ghost.
Okay.
They're trying to be sneaky.
Yeah.
So you get a few names from the conversation, and you're able to kind of like scope out those people in the party. One of them being a young farmhand who's dressed in his nicer clothes. They're not exactly like on the level of Aldrich's, but they're still nice clothes. And he's kind of like chatting it up with a young gnome woman, and they're just kind of talking. And then he turns to see you standing like directly next to him, and he's just like, "Hello."
Okay, so he immediately puts his arm around the guy and goes, "Hey, man, it's great to see you here."
Thank you. Have we met? I'm sorry.
Of course we've met. Come on.
I don't think we have.
You mean you I mean, we were drinking quite a bit that night, so I suppose you might have not remembered as much.
Give me a deception check.
Check with the sleepy at this
Oh
point.
God.
This is a confusion check.
Roll bluff.
So it was a deception.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, so that's a 12. Because my deception is -1.
Okay.
So,
Oh, you do have no charisma. Why are you doing this?
The farmhand kind of lifts your hand off of his and is like, "Right, our drinking party. Why don't I go get us some more drinks right now?" And he walks away, disappears into the crowd, and makes a point of like trying not to be near you at the party for the rest of the week.
yeah, so he turns to the was it gnome woman he was talking to before? Just goes, "Huh. I think that guy's a bit on the weird side. Anyway, I'll see you later." And then he walks back off to the food.
Success.
Did you see that?
The gnome woman watches you go, and she does kind of like a.
Free entertainment.
But by now it's around 8:30 in the evening. The night is black outside, completely blackening the windows. Avery, you good? You still good? You still with us?
I'm good.
Cool.
I'm good.
Right. In any case,
Well, 12:30. That's okay.
At some point though, Aldrich Brent has taken a break from speaking with the rest of his guests, and he has mingled through the crowd with a bit of purpose. Clarion, yours was the first shoulder he tapped, quickly followed by Tobias and let me get the character names. Tobias and Zindris. Beatrice and Bimbax, when you seem less disposed, and when he's worried about making Beatrice stand up and move around, but eventually he does come to you, Beatrice, and he kind of brings you guys to like a corner of the room, and he says, "Yes, my apologies for interrupting you. I hope you're having fun. Yes."
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
it's a
everything
lovely
okay?
party.
Oh, I'm so good to hear that. I'm not exactly the best host of parties. It's a political skill I'm still trying to learn myself. In any case, I could use a bit of a hand.
Sure. Anything.
Well, you see, normally I would ask Rolf for help and Esmeralda, but they have their hands full as it is, and in any case, if you would just do me a few small favors to help keep the party going, that would be fantastic. I just need 3 things. If you could all collect them for me.
Oh, it's a collection quest.
Sure.
Okay.
That won't be any problem. Don't you worry. We'll get these things for you. You just relax.
Oh, Mrs. Whitestone, thank you so much. Now, the first thing I need, there's a bottle of wine that I've been saving for an occasion such as this. One that I'm rather proud of. I actually inherited it from my uncle himself, from his own wine collection. It's a bottle of 1255 Nocksteiner.
That bastard was hoarding a Nocksteiner.
I'll make sure you have the first glass.
Oh, you splendid boy.
I love Bimbax.
Bottle of wine. What else?
I will also need another team to go upstairs and into my uncle's study and find his most recent work. I promised everybody that it would be on display, and I'm afraid I forgot. The book you'll be looking for is called The Diversity in Fungus of Strakkenwünd's Southern Moorlands. And yes, I realize my German's also becoming a bit of French here. Just theater of the mind. Theater of the mind.
Southern what? Moorlands?
Strakkenwünd's Southern Moorlands. Like Moorlands.
Yeah. More as like a boat.
Yes.
Okay, wine, a book.
And the final item, my uncle loved to smoke a particular brand of cigars known as alibis. If memory serves, I believe they're still in his smoking room. I haven't been there since since Thursday, so if you wouldn't mind, there's a box in there, and I would love to share them with a few select people, Mr. Bimbax and Miss Beatrice, of course.
Oh, I remember them fondly. I know exactly what they look like.
Perfect.
Fantastic. So you do not mind going to get these things for me?
No, it's like a scavenger hunt.
Most excellent. The Brand family is in your debt. And with that, so there are 3 places you guys need to go. Do you want to split up into 3 teams?
I'm going with Claire.
There's 5 of us, so someone would be alone.
It's okay. I can
Exactly.
be alone. Oh no.
Grandma's gonna loop her delicate little hand around the strong, blue-armed hand of the handsome gentleman next to him.
Oh no, you guys are trusting Bimbax to walk alone in a mansion.
I am hoping something terrible happens to you because it will become.
I hope
Okay.
Bimbax is narrating to himself the whole time.
Yes, please.
Well, you're not alone. You've got a little buddy with you.
No, I've got
Yeah.
Scribbles with me.
Yeah,
Scribbles.
Your mysterious friends.
Okay.
It's a weasel. Please tell me it's a weasel.
No, you'll love Scribbles. He's great.
God bless.
So we've got Team 1 being Clarion and Tobias. We've got Team 2 being Beatrice and Zindris. and we got Team 3 being just Bimbeks. So which team wants to go where? You have to go to the study room, the cellar, and the smoking room.
Let's go get that.
That's the study room. I'll go. Beatrice will stay on the ground floor, so I think the smoking parlor is on this floor.
We're gonna send the 1,000-year-old insane man to the cellar by himself. Yes.
Well, he did say he was going to get the first glass. So.
That's true.
True.
This could not have shaken out better than I could.
Your mind is so huge.
Before we continue, do you guys need a quick 10-minute break, or?
I would appreciate that.
All right,
Yeah.
we will be back
I'll
in
get more
10
coffee.
minutes.
Okay.
And I'm not going to shut off the recording because I found that I can actually record for more than 2 hours on this computer. So, yeah. So I'll just turn off my video and yeah.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Okay. Boom.
More caffeine. More caffeine. I know. I got. It's 12 in the morning. I feel like Grandma's gonna stop sundowning pretty soon.
Oh, I'm so glad my camera and audio are off. Now I can finally masturbate in peace.
I mean, if you
Oh
want,
no! Was
just
my
ask, right?
camera on? The bit's not funny. I'm just gonna go get some tea.
For a horror campaign, this is shaping up to be quite the comedy routine.
Hey!
Yeah?
Blame
Thought you were
Bimbeks.
gone. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Yeah? Okay, I see how it is.
If I did that with my cat, she'd eat my face.
Lucky.
Can you hear the music I put on?
I can, yes.
You like it?
I do like it, yeah.
1 hour of rain and soft jazz. If I turn push to talk off, push to talk off, is there an echo?
I don't hear an echo.
Are you sure?
Like on my side, or?
Yeah, do you know echo?
I get a little bit of echo, yeah.
It's so hard to keep shit fluid and use my hands to talk with it. Push to talk.
Are you liking this so far, by the way? Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's been your favorite non-player character so far? If I might be a little
Cedric.
narcissistic.
I like Cedric a lot.
You like Cedric?
Hold on, I'm buying art.
Ah.
Buying art?
Are you getting porn of Bakugo done again?
No, I'm pretty sure I knew this guy in high school, and we're like mutuals on Instagram or whatever. And he's been posting a lot of really cool art, and it's all like traditional work. And he posted a painting on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, $50 for this." And I'm like, "You take PayPal? Do you ship? Because I want that. It's beautiful."
That's awesome. That's very.
So I'm buying it all.
Cool. Probably.
Oh, he on the ground.
I've purchased one piece off of a friend, and it's hanging up above my love seat. And then I did an art trade with another friend, and that's hanging up above my bookshelf. And they're both kind of like red and really dark themed. And the painting he did was red. There's like a moon, a tree, some nice reflection on the water. It looks like it's got some really nice texture. I think it would look really nice like over here above.
Hey, Crow. Crow's not back yet. I would love to see the painting when it's done. When it's there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna gas him up. He also told me that he like really appreciates me and loves my style, and I'm like, thanks, dude. I barely remember you from high school.
Oh, that's always so nice. Oh, and I was meant to do a shout out too. It's not a sponsor, but we have a guy that I'm using yeah. Anyway,
You using the guy?
No. Hang on, let me see if I can find the text. A friend of my sister's does really cool work. Just a second. Oh, Loki, don't do that. Okay, here we go. Space for Brains on TikTok, all one word, space for and brains is capitalized. I'll have a link to this in when I upload this video too. They make some pretty awesome like D&D related stuff. They got dice bags that are like washable. They're and very high quality. And in the future they're going to be doing some custom jobs too. They have a crocheted dice bag that's going to be coming with a free dice set that's going to be available on their store. It's really cool. It's Space for Brains on TikTok. I will be sending links to that particular TikTok on our YouTube channel. But yeah, Space for Brains. Go buy some awesome fucking dice bags. And I've seen some of these dice bags for myself. My sister has showed me some of them. They're top-notch stuff. I love it.
I could use a dice bag.
And again,
so when are we getting sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends?
And again, YouTube, this is not a sponsorship. This is just a favor I've been doing. Don't
some of the earlier dice book ones. We have plenty of those.
All right. In that case, are we all back? Except for Vin, who's being a gremlin in the kitchen, I guess.
Yeah, open that cover.
I feel like I should split the lad duo, but I mean, it's hilarious. I feel like maybe the lads, maybe grandma.
We can't split us up. We will not go anywhere apart.
Okay.
All right.
Have to be something, I'm sure.
So, God, Vin has always been such a force of personality, and to see him just exist in his kitchen, just kind of like struggling, is amazing.
All over the table.
Yay!
Okay, so we are back, and we will start with team number 1 of Clarion and Tobias. Now, Clarion and Tobias, if you remember, you have been sent off to retrieve one of Ludwig's latest works and last works to be shared with the rest of the community, perhaps read aloud or just passed from hand to hand to read the latest research and notes. Vin, do you remember what the name of that book was?
A diversity of fungus of Strakkenwünd, southern moorland.
Exactly. So, Aldrich kind of like points you up to where the study is, and it's essentially like the first door you see as you make your way up the main steps that are in the center of the main hall. And as you guys kind of walk up the steps, up the carpeted steps, looking around at the manor, the size of the place really kind of hits you, and neither of you have really, even Tobias, for somebody of your status, this is still a pretty swanky house, you know. So yeah, but you guys are making your way up to the study, and eventually you find your way to the door that Aldrich directed you to. And as you push the door open, wrapping a hand around the brass knob that keeps the oaken door closed, the late Professor Ludwig's study is clean, almost ridiculously so. As you enter, though it is a space no longer than a standard office of its ilk, it carries with it a feeling of having stepped into a library. Books on shelves flank... Could you fuck off? Sorry.
Bastard man!
Anyway, having stepped into a library. Books on shelves flank your left and right sides, accompanied by baubles and curiosities collected by a truly brilliant man of science. A perfect reconstruction of a sturgeon skeleton is on display next to one of the shelves, and a collection of pinned insects hangs above it. In the center of the room is an immense wooden desk, lit by the light of the moon from the window behind it, as the glass is battered and pelted by the rain. All is quiet in the room, and one can barely shake the feeling that they may not be alone in a place with such a rich and deep history.
That's not a feeling I want to have.
So, Tobias,
It's
Clarion,
fine.
take it away.
Don't worry about it. Book. There's a lot of books in there.
Yeah, how about you take that shelf and I'll take this one over here.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, don't touch anything.
I gotta touch to look.
Yeah, but don't touch anything else, okay? I don't want to go through a dead man's things. It feels wrong.
Whatever you say. That's kind of what I do for a living.
Don't remind me. All right, Clarion will take the left bookshelf.
Okay. And Tobias, you take the right? Okay.
No.
I would like you both to give me an investigation check.
It's a good thing that I don't have...
As you begin searching for the tome that you were looking for.
So my ass is not going to find it. Because I don't have... All right. Maybe we should not have sent the 17 and 18.
Well, Richard, I was gonna have investigation be one of my proficiencies, but my sheet wouldn't fucking let me bubble it in, so I just picked something else.
I got a 13.
You got a 7 and you got a 13. Cool. All right. So, give me just a second here. So, Tobias, as you're kind of like looking around the shelves, kind of like looking for this particular book, you see hundreds of books about ranging from like arborism and like just different natural sciences. It's quite the collection to have, but you can't seem to find the specific title that you are looking for. But as you reach the end of the desk, the floorboards kind of creaking beneath you, the end of the shelf as the floorboard's kind of creaking towards you. You're out of the. Can you? Hey, asshole. Thank you. Anyway, sorry.
That was bias.
Something. Something catches. Something out of the corner of your eye catches. Well, your eye. That was stupid. The desk. The desk. The mighty oaken desk that sits in the back of the room. You see that one of the drawers is a jar.
It's a jar.
Yes.
Drawer.
And at the same time...
Fuck you, I was going to make that joke.
It's going to stop.
Session canceled. We're going to go home.
So as you...
More than one bastard.
Take your time, Mookie. Take your time. Thank you.
There goes. Okay. Good job.
So, what's your character's name again?
Clarion.
Clarion.
Like the witch boy in DC.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, Clarion the Witch.
I was talking to you, Finn. Sorry. Finn.
My character's name is Tobias.
There are too many gays here with too many similar names. Anyway,
Oh, what are you talking about?
I'm just grandma.
Clarion?
Anyway,
Okay, Clarion
Clarion.
rolled the 13.
Clarion.
Tobias rolled 7.
Clarion.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Clarion, as you are searching your shelf,
Yes.
you don't find the book either, but you do find that there's quite a bit of dust that kind of lines the little lip of the shelves in front of the books, except for one. There's a space of just pure clean, without any dust, in front of one of these books.
Curious. What does the spine of the book say?
Would you like to take the book off the shelf?
Can I read it without taking it off the shelf?
Yes, you may. The book
Just
from
fine.
the book from the shelf itself seems to be like a textbook of some kind. Basically, and you can tell from the stamp on the bottom that it's a book from the University of Grudenberg, which, if you'll remember, is where the professor did most of his teaching and study. The title of this book is The Grudenberg 1521 Neurological Medicine Journal, Lobotomy, Thrombectomy, and Other Contemporary Procedures.
Contemporary procedures, lobotomies.
Maybe it's a secret door.
Clarion, who has been kind of doing the shelf reading thing, like looking at the spines, notices that, and then he squints at it, and then he will take it and pull it out.
All right. So, before you do that, let's head on back over to Tobias, who is opening the drawer.
Oh, yeah.
So the drawer, a smaller one off to the left of the desk, is inside. You find what appears to be a very small leather-bound journal, some kind of like a personal record of sorts.
I kind of peek over at Clarion.
Make sure he's not looking.
Real quiet-like. And very quietly open it up. I kind of...
Oh, shit,
Okay.
it's a fan fiction collection.
Oh God.
All right, so you kind of open to a random page in the book, and I am going to send you that page to read aloud. Loki, I'm begging you, shush.
Well, don't worry, man. We can't hear him. So, him.
He is so loud right next to me.
We cannot hear the creatures. So.
All right, hang on. I'm almost there. I'm a good DM. Hang on. So,
Ben starts reading.
as you open and flip to a random page, you read the following.
1st of February, 1543. I had begun to worry this morning that I would have nothing to do in the coming week other than prepare my visitor's lecture for the upcoming gathering of the Conclave's Trellfield chapter. It was my great surprise and unending delight that a colleague of mine from my university days, arrived at my nephew's doorstep. Dr. Zelafin Drake, a truly brilliant meteorologist, was at the stoop just as I had finished my morning brand. It was clear that he had been riding all night, all the way from Stelcreep in the south. His clothes and riding robe were wet as the skies, and I had to sit him down with something warm to drink before his babbles of excitement made any sort of sense. When he did finally explain his actions, I found myself rapt with a kind of intrigue I had not been privy to since my thesis on the winter growth cycles of night-bloom primroses in the Krelveld. According to Drake, he was investigating strange reports from the good folk of the neighboring villages to the universities, reports of most unprecedented nature. At first, I thought he was going to make a mention of a new sort of undead wandering from the dark of the woods, but he in fact surprised me quite the opposite. Strange lights, it seemed, had been sighted over the northernmost tree line, and had been occurring for 2 entire days before ceasing completely. Thinking it had been some meteorological phenomenon, Drake arrived on the scene to have a look for himself, but what he found instead, if he is truly in the right frame of mind, goes far beyond a mere change in the weather. I plan to make preparations to return to the area with him as soon as I finish taking this notation. Fate, it seems, does not yet wish for my retirement.
Intrigued by this entry, you flip through a few more pages, kind of just generally skimming it. And you come across quite a few charts and diagrams that don't really seem to make a lot of sense. It would seem that, even though this is a personal journal of the good doctor's, it would seem that a lot of his professional and academic language has kind of like seeped into the writing naturally. And you come across another page that says this.
To read along.
Tobias is rolling his eyes at all of this fancy medical jargon.
Sasuke stared into Naruto's deep, dark eyes and trance. Keep going.
Put
Yeah,
his thumbs in Naruto's hands.
Thumbing the belt loops as he sultrily speaks into Naruto's ear.
Would you read the damn thing?
Yeah, I'm reading it. You sent it to me. I'm sorry.
Then
23rd of Durham, 1543. Continued experimentation with the Fell Creek specimen has revealed hitherto unknown aspects of the organism's true nature. I've compared it with my vast library of samples and have found that the specimen, which I have decided to call the Drake strain in order of my good friend who has assisted me in this endeavor, does not compare on any level to any fungi I have found within the country's borders. Though its structure is indeed the same, and though it clearly releases spores of a kind, a grayish pest-like discharge that is released by pores in the flesh, this specimen doesn't seem to need any kind of energy or sustenance to grow. It can be left in blistering sunlight or in the empty dark and still continues to grow exponentially. When we first found it in that crater some 2 miles in the wood, it was no bigger than my own thumb. Now easily it is the size of a ripe apple from the Krestenwald orchard. Ecstatic as I am made by this discovery, I regret to report that I have troubling news to go along with it regarding Dr. Drake. He has not been well in the past few days and has required more time in a chair and more glasses of water than he usually requests. At times it would seem that he is distant as well. Often I find that I need to repeat things to him, or I catch him staring listlessly off into space mid-conversation. My immediate thought was some disease of mental degradation, as all men of our years fear, but I have my doubts. Certainly Drake isn't quite at the age where such degradations begin, nor has his family history shown substantial signs of any such implications, or complications. I wish to broach the subject with him, but do not yet know how. For now, I suppose I will have to continue studying the Drake strain alone as well.
it is at this time, Tobias, that you begin to understand that something that in his later days, the doctor did indeed stumble across something quite strange in the woods. I forgot the name of the woods and I panicked for a second. It would seem that the doctor has come across Stelcreep, yeah. It seems that the good doctor has come across maybe some new form of fungus, some new species or specimen. Certainly something that would be interesting to a man such as him. And as you continue to read the pages, you find that they just seem to end at a certain point, as if the rest of the pages were torn out. In fact, specifically, The journal ends at the date the 31st of Griswold, 1543, almost 2 months later. And the last page, in very rickety handwriting, simply reads this.
Medical Journal, most recent edition. Go over chapter 22. Drake may be gone, but he is still of use. Hey, Claire!
Mom! Clarion just he had his back turned. This is probably like right as he was reaching the one book that was different than the rest. And he doesn't look over quite yet. He's just like, yeah?
I found something kind of weird.
What did you find?
Diary.
Clarion will look at him and kind of go, and like turn away from the bookshelf and say, "You shouldn't go through that, Tobias. It's probably private."
Yeah, well, the last sentence here kind of freaked me out a little bit. He's talking about a dead guy and using his body, maybe?
Using his body?
Yeah.
Come over and look.
Oh god, it is fanfiction.
Drake may be gone. Drake was this guy that he knew. Drake may be gone, but he's still of use. He got like really sick, I guess, and maybe he kept his body somewhere and was like using it for experiments. What if this guy was like what if he was like a crazy scientist?
What? But that would be illegal. No, there's no way.
I don't know, man. It's in here.
You are as lawful good as they get.
He's a very lawful good boy. No. He was a respected scientist. There's no way he'd
Yeah, well, lots of people that are respected are up to some really skeevy shit.
Clarion will come and look at the journal. He will look at the last page, and then just kind of like not really read very much else, but just kind of like thumb through a little bit as if maybe looking to see if there's anything else that pops out of him as strange. And then after a second with it, he says, "We shouldn't be reading this anyway. Let's just find the book and then let's go."
The one thing that does...
I put it in my...
Toby, that's not yours.
It's fine. It could be evidence.
For what?
If it really is illegal, people need to know about it, right?
I guess.
What did you find?
Nothing. There's a book that seems out of place, but I don't know what's the book. They'll trot back over to the bookshelf, and then we'll say that he's just now gonna go and remove the book from the shelf, the neurology book, or the textbook.
It's a pretty good sized book, kind of like your standard textbook size, with it bound in like a green leather and very, very well and presentably kind of printed. But it's heavy, it's a heavier book. And again, Tobias, as Clarion pulls the book, as Clarion pulls the book out, you read the title: The Grudenberg 1521 Neurological Medicine Journal, Lobotomy, Thrombectomy, and Other Contemporary Procedures. And you also see that the ribbon bookmark attached to the spine seems to be centered on a particular page.
You open that one up.
Okay. You will open it to the marked page.
The book is a newer one. Even though it's a newer book, clearly only printed within the last year, it's seen some heavy use. The spine, as you open it, and like there seem to be pages that have fallen out, but have also like been put back in with like stationery paste. This was clearly a very used and very well loved book. But the page you open to, the one with the ribbon bookmark, reads Chapter 22, Craniotomy. And the first thing you see is a big diagram of a human skull with a line cut across it and the brain exposed.
He was cutting people's brains out, Claire!
Clarion just kind of like shudders, like, ugh. No. Wait. Don't make that assumption yet. I mean, he was a scientist, right?
Look!
No. I mean, there's no way. He'll just like kind of like. He's trying to pull the book back to him. Like, wait.
All right. So as this kind of like tussle ensues, you guys are kind of like spinning around the room trying to get the book from one another. Tobias, your shoulder thunk into the wall that has the door into it, and suddenly a painting of the professor comes clattering down. And as you look up, behind the painting is a wall safe.
Claire, you gotta let me do this.
No.
You gotta let me do this. Claire, please. Claire, please, you gotta let me do this. I'm doing it.
No.
Yeah. It's part of my job.
This isn't your job. We're
Yeah,
just
it
here.
is. It's an old guy.
We're just here to help Aldrich.
Okay, we'll find the book. What if the book's in there?
Why would the book be in there?
I don't know. Maybe we're just keeping it. I'm gonna open it.
Angel, help me.
Okay, are you gonna try to pick the lock, or?
I would love to.
Okay.
Clarion is pointedly turning away to not watch him pick the lock.
I did pick my thieves' tools as one of my expertise.
Okay. All right. Give me a roll.
Dirty 20.
Okay, you look at it and it opens. No. As you kind of like, the safe itself is kind of like up on the wall, so it's a little harder to like see what you're doing. But you're pretty experienced in this kind of stuff, and you're able to kind of like, even without looking, kind of like feel the intricacies of the inner mechanisms.
He's 5'10". He can.
But eventually, though, you do hear the little click, and you're like, yes, got it. And the old safe creak opens up.
Can I, before I stick my head in there, can I like perception check for traps?
Sure.
My investigator
Yes.
peeking out. $10.
It's a safe.
I don't know. I listen. The Pathfinder game has me paranoid. All right.
It's a safe.
That's fair.
We are some paranoid motherfuckers.
I'm
Okay.
traumatized. The amount of needles, little needles that just shoot out of locks at my fingers. I'm the only one that can pick a fucking lock in that party. Okay.
Do you
Good.
need 10
Very
more
good.
seconds to vent?
Okay. I stick my head in the second.
All right. Inside the
Go
safe. No. Inside the safe seems to be a pristine white parchment document alongside what appears to be something wrapped in cloth.
Spooky.
I pull the document out, hand it to Claire without looking at it, and go for the thing that's wrapped in cloth.
Claire, the document you are handed is titled The Last Will and Testament of Professor Ludwig Theodor Brandt.
Clarion, for the record, was still not facing him. He was like turned away. Claire, just like looking like. And then he'll, did you find it? Oh no! And then he'll just like, put it down. He puts it down, face down on the desk hurriedly.
Okay.
Hurry up!
And pick up the thing wrapped in cloth.
As you pick it up, it feels like weighty, considering its small size. And as you unwrap it from the cheesecloth, you find that it's a very old, rusty iron key.
There's nothing else in here. I pocket it.
Can I I'm gonna fail it, but just to have done it, can I do an insight check?
You may, yes.
So I can say that I tried.
Can I roll deception then?
Wait,
Yeah.
insight on the key?
Or would it be deception or stealth?
No, you're not rolling a damn thing, Vin.
Well, you can't roll deception to lie to me. Ooh, are you sure? Because I got an 18.
You want to let me roll, Connor?
Okay, roll.
Yeah.
I only have deception. Deception was another thing that I was going to add my proficiency to, but my sheet wouldn't let me.
Aw.
You can't lie to your best friend.
15.
Okay, so Tobias, you go to like pocket the key, but it like clanks against something metal on your belt, and you hear Clarion go,
Yeah.
Tobias.
What was that?
It's my rapier just jingling on my hip. There's a cloth, but there's nothing in it.
There was just a cloth in there?
Yeah.
Toby.
It was a key.
Okay, well, we didn't find the book, so how about we just put this stuff back, close it. We have to hang the painting back up so that they don't know, otherwise we'll
I'm
get in
keeping
trouble.
it.
Why? What is it even for?
That's what I want to find out, don't you? I mean, maybe it could unlock his secret lab where he's cutting people's brains out.
He's not cutting people's brains out.
I don't believe this at all.
He's a professor. He's a respected professor. There's no way.
You trust people too much, and I waggled the key at him and put it in my pocket.
He tried to grab it, but he was too slow.
We can lock the safe back up. Hey, what was on that paper?
It was his will.
Let me see.
No!
Go get it.
He's trying to cover it with his hands.
So like, with your hand on Clarion's face, as you read the paper, you find
I'm older and taller than you. You have to let me do this.
It's true. I have horns.
the will in
You're gonna hit me
question.
with my horns.
The will in question, with a quick read, reveals a few things. First of all, that the professor's wealth and all of his worldly possessions are to go to his closest family members, his nephew Aldrich and his wife and children, which we knew going in. He inherited the entire manor from his uncle. It makes a point of noting that Aldrich should be given his personal Bible, which can be found in the family room library. And furthermore, at the very end, there seems to be mention of bimbacks.
Oh.
Specifically, there's a note that reads, "For you, my dear friend, a memento from our hunt in the hills north of Vorst. If you find yourself ever in need of a little more self-defense than that friendly formicidae of yours, take the stairs up to my study, and take it from the hook above the window, if it hasn't already been removed."
Ooh, spicy.
I immediately look to where are we in the study?
Yes, you are in the study.
Immediately look up to where it is described.
There is a massive hunting musket just sitting right above the window.
This man is a fool. He trusted bimbacks with a gun.
Nice. This party's gonna get real interesting.
Claire,
What?
look.
He looks and he's like, what is that?
That's a gun.
Why does he have such a big gun?
I don't know, but it goes to this guy Bimbacks.
Oh, that was the weird, the unique guy that we saw on the stairs.
The weird old guy.
No, don't say that. It's mean.
You said it.
I didn't say it.
Yes, you did.
Okay. How about if we can't find the book, then how about we bring the will, because Aldrich will want that, right? And then,
but I had to get it out of the...
oh, How about we just put it back and say that we found the safe, but we didn't open it? We can do that, right? Oh, that would be lying.
We just keep it.
We can't keep the will.
Sure we can.
No.
We could, here, put it in,
Well, Alton's probably seen it already, right?
I have an idea. We should leave him a hint that his uncle was cutting people's brains open. We should